Overwatch on with us. Hey, Nick.
Hey, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
Yay, we had some technical difficulties, y'all, but you see, we made it, right? We were not going to give up. And here we are, 30 minutes on time. I believe we're on time, Nick. We're supposed to be right at the right moment. Okay, yep, we're live on the page. And here we go. All right, awesome. I just wanted to make sure that was set. So, hey, Nick. So, I just got to tell you guys, we met, maybe last year sometime. And
Yeah.
we connected over the amazing work that you're doing in New Jersey. So before we get into too much of the question and answer, could you please tell us about Forever Your Overwatch and what you guys do? Where are you located to?
So we're located in New Jersey. We have helped women though throughout the country, on a case by case basis. But 98% it's out of New Jersey because we like to do that in person help. So what we do is whenever there's someone who is living with an active threat against their safety, physical safety. I know there's
Okay.
many forms of abuse, but that's primarily what we focus on.
Okay.
We go to their homes and we secure their home. We get it as secure as we possibly can, so that while they're inside their home, they can go down to what we call condition yellow or condition white, meaning they can relax a little bit more. A lot of these women, I say women because it's 98% of our clients are women.
Okay.
So a lot of them are, they're putting chairs up under doorknobs and sleeping on a couch with a baseball bat, and they're not really sleeping. They're drifting in and out, and it's crazy to hear their stories. And I can't sleep at night. I'm nervous. I'm so scared. And what happens is when you're living paranoid, especially in your own home, when you go out, that even gets worse.
Mm-hmm.
You eventually stop caring about your own security. You develop kind of almost like a fatalistic attitude, because your mind can't, nobody can.
Right,
Nobody
right,
can
right.
sustain that amount of vigilance. So you need a safe space to relax, to unwind a little bit, at least a little bit, even if it's just 10%. So we do whatever we can to secure the home with our, we have a bunch of do-it-yourself items such as alarms, cameras, door security bars, door stop alarms, motion sensors, floodlights. Then
Wow.
we do self-protection items such as we have a smart pepper spray, which is also available if anybody wants it. We
What's a smart pepper spray? What's the difference?
So if you spray it, it'll connect to your phone and send out a signal to your contacts that you're in
Oh, look at
danger, and
that.
it gives out your exact location of where you are to your contacts immediately.
That is so neat, Nick. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, we connected with the Swedish company that developed it, and
Wow.
it works really well, like
Okay.
shockingly well.
So break this down. So break this down for me. There's a pepper spray. You spray it, and when you do that, it does what?
It'll one, it shoots about, I think it's 10 feet, and it's pretty nasty stuff. The self is,
Okay.
yeah, I sprayed myself with it just to test it out.
And
Um,
you proved it works.
yeah, well, we had a little Facebook Live event, and
Oh yeah,
long
yeah, yeah.
story. Uh, so yeah, you spray it, and it sends out this signal it connects to your phone. You
Mhm.
pick 3 or 4 contacts. They will immediately get a phone call and a text message that
Wow.
you're in danger, and it gives your exact location. It'll zoom you in on a map where you are, and you pre-coordinate with these people that you put down on your contact list. Hey, you get this alert, you just call the cops and dispatch them to my area immediately.
Oh my goodness. I love that, Nick. That's amazing. Okay, first of all, so you guys, pepper spray. They have it at Forever Your Overwatch. Connect with them, please, please. I put the website down at the bottom. It's also tagged. Reach out to them. I've never heard of that, Nick, but I'm so glad to hear about it now. So that's awesome.
Well, we were, in exchange for a donation, we were giving it out.
Mhm.
And then PayPal kind of hit us saying, you can't sell pepper spray. I was like, well, we're not. So we had to take it down from the website for right now. Mike's going to work on it. We're going to put it back up, even if it's just demonstrating what it is. You can always simply contact the organization through Facebook, email, through the website and say, hey, I would like one. How can I get one? And, you through a donation, and then we can send it out to you. But it's great for our clients. And it's just one of those things too. We show them how to set everything up in their homes with the security, because we're big on, we want them just to also start taking charge of their own security best they can.
Okay, so let me go back real quick. I know you talked about some things like having a door under a chair under your door for safety. And, as a survivor, that's definitely something that's typical that a survivor will do. And you're saying that is not sufficient. You guys do way better security assistance than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's something. Because, I'll be honest, Lisa, this whole thing that I started was on accident. I didn't mean to start all this.
So tell me what you started.
And this is relative to what, to the question. So I wanted to volunteer. I wanted to volunteer. Just the volunteer bug just got me, so I teach self-protection, combatives, and basic combat skills to the military.
Okay.
And active shooter response, things like that. And so I wanted to, use some of those skills and reach out to a community that would probably need it, yet doesn't really have individuals who could teach it and demonstrate it, do security assessments and all that. So I contacted numerous domestic violence agencies throughout New Jersey. One got back to me. So I went there and I was teaching a class, and some of the women there said, that were attending the class, they said, this stuff's great and all, but, my abuser's 300 pounds, 200 pounds. What am I going to do? How do I stack the deck in my favor? And, and I was ignorant. Privileged, ignorant, whatever you want to, call it. I was like, well, you could, put a security system in. Some of these women didn't even know what that was. Didn't even know that was an option. Didn't have the resources to do it. And, and I was very ignorant. Like, well, can you call the police? Can you do, and I was almost laughed at. Because many of the women, they struggle. No one seems to want to help them.
Right,
and
right.
There's a bigger issue, as you know, with domestic violence. That's, people are trying to work on, as far as educating, mostly men, trying to educate and work on that problem. But for the individual woman, I keep saying woman, but it's really anybody living, in fear, they can't wait for all that. They just leave their abuser, or they call the police, the abuser gets taken away. And here in New Jersey, they get released, they call it the catch and release program. So they're scared, and, they support all those, but like, they want that security and that peace of mind now.
You want that safety. Yeah. Like you said, you can't sleep. Someone just said in the comments, like, you can't sleep at night, you're afraid of the abuser. So what do? So you guys put security systems and all that kind of stuff in place.
Yeah, we try to help them inside the house and outside the house, how to stay safe outside the house, of course. And we've done things like, we stashed them at hotels and emergencies. We've driven them, we've gone to their home and they have to bail out and get their clothing, food, things like that, and taking them to a hotel or things like that. We're looking to expand our services so that they get anything that we can do to keep them safe, anything. So
what have you found in the home that has been one of the biggest safety measures that survivors have needed within their home?
Honestly, training, safety planning.
Okay.
None of this stuff works without the mindset and the education to do it. We've had clients open the door up to their abuser because, pride. I'm going to confront, who are you to, so, we could, a lot of them, everybody's like, oh, cool, I got a security system. I'm good. I got all these cool gadgets. I'm good. I got it. I know how to use it. And it's empowering. But you can't over rely on it either at all. Without you, this stuff is useless, So we try to, and we do self-protection training. We do ongoing training with them. And we do the fun stuff like the hitting and all that. But we do, it's more about safety planning, situational awareness, and doing rehearsals to stay safe, to use that stuff to your advantage. I mean, because if you open the door to your abuser to say, get out of here, that stuff is completely useless now. Now it's you and him.
Nick, That's a really good point. And I think that it's funny that when I asked you that, I really thought you were going to say something like, oh, the security system or the gadgets I put in the front. But like, no, because all of that is great. But if you don't follow the safety plan that says don't open the door, stay away from or whatever, it's pointless.
Yeah. And I understand the need to,
Of course.
I mean, these guys aren't banging on the door saying, open up the door so I can kill you.
Right. Of course. You're right.
You're right. So it's the hardest thing in the world. And when I started teaching these women and hearing their stories, going to their homes, and I never, and I'm seeing the comments here, Paulette, Mila, how you guys doing? I'm very sorry for your loss, Pauletta. I'm just reading your comment now. I had no idea that it was this bad. I just didn't, I obviously knew of domestic violence, but hearing, how scared they were. I mean, this was they were legitimately in fear for their lives, and no one should be, there's things that happen. I get it. In America, there's very unfortunate things that happen, but you should not be in your own home and be scared that someone is going to come in and kill you, or wait for you to leave the home and ambush you in your car, wait for you to come home. And in the military, it's called an insider threat, insider attack. And that's really what a domestic violence issue is. The insider, it's somebody who knows you. It's somebody who they know how to get close to you.
Right.
They use other people. They use things. They know your weaknesses. They know your vulnerabilities. It's the same concept. So you're in the
military. You're ex-military Marine, correct? So you guys, yes. Okay, because I'm here. You guys are going to hear him use all these terms like insider threat, other things that he's using because he still teaches. But it's interesting that you can say insider threat, and everything that you're listing literally is that of how an abuser is able to do what he does. And you guys just said, he is answering questions and stuff like that. So please feel free to keep it in the comments. Put it in the comments, and we'll do our best to get to it. It's going kind of fast though.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm trying to read them too.
We'll do our best.
So we use techniques that the military uses to counter it, and they've been pretty successful with it. And a big part of it too is psychological too. The empowerment, giving them a little bit of that sense of control back.
Yeah.
Going to their homes, I think, is huge. I mean, I could always like Amazon this stuff to them and do a safety planning over the phone, which I have done a little bit when I can't get to them. And I've been doing a little bit more with this whole, coronavirus thing.
That's true.
But having that ongoing connection with them is important. And I want to expand on that going forward. We do classes all the time for survivors only, and they get to come together. And we do the hitting and the getting out of chokes, obviously dependent on their comfort level and what they're okay doing. And then we discuss things, how to stay safe forever, and safety planning. It's more situational awareness, tips, tricks, what to do. Just also a reminder to disengage, disassociate. Easier said than done, as much easier.
It is when you think about your life is at risk. It's so much more important to do that instead. But I like something that you just said about just preparing yourself and making sure that you have, number one, that you have a safety plan in place. And I think it's super cool that you are doing it virtually now that you have the opportunity. But I remember as a single mom with 2 young children, my kids were 2 and 3, I was terrified. We had our own house. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to keep safe? You know what I mean? And I was constantly looking out the windows, constantly afraid. And just to know that someone like yourself is available for survivors that are going through this now out in New Jersey. I mean, like you said, you could mail them all. You could have mailed this all day. But someone, like, here, go change your locks. And you're like, what? Especially as a woman, I had no clue. I'd been married all this time, I had no, but to know that you'd be able to do it, it does make you feel safer, and show you how to use the different gadgets. It's different than just telling me what to do.
Yeah. And they're sneaky. It's easy to protect our home against a stranger. I shouldn't say easy. It's easier to protect your home and yourself from a total stranger. I mean, you're walking to your car and there's the guy in the, in the shady looking jacket, okay, that's a bad guy. I need to get out of here, or I'm going to lock my door and I'm going to, it's just a lot different when it's someone and we've seen, I do a lot of the case studies, and it's depressing, obviously, but what's happening? How are these how are these happening after they leave? What do they do when they come back? And many of them just kind of weasel their way back in.
Yeah, like you said, they're not banging on the door saying, "Let me in, I'm going to kill you." So I have a question for you. So
Although
say
that
if
has
you
happened, yeah.
say if you have a survivor who, this is my house, I'm not leaving, this is my home. The police ordered him to leave, he's gone. And I've talked to so many survivors. I'm like, well, did you change the locks? What about the window? So what are some things that you would say? Okay, if you're deciding to stay in your home, what things do they need to implement?
So, we try to get to them immediately within 3 or 4 days at most. And if it's an extreme case, we'll get there like that day.
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
Yeah, we do our absolute best. Why we need more volunteers.
Oh yeah.
Now it's funny. I was reading a comment from Angela. They've got a lot of help. Flying monkeys doing their dirty work. We could talk more about that. She's 100% right, and more on that in a bit. I'll get right back to your question, but it really is almost like a military, like an intel game. And that's why it's so. Things that I've seen in the military and whatnot, I'm seeing the same tactics and techniques. So I know some of the stuff and how to counter it. I mean, it really is so comparable. People have no idea. This intel game, this cat and mouse game, and this insider, it's all comparable. So I just feel like I know this stuff, and I want more veterans to get on board, especially because we know how to counter it and flip the script against them using these techniques.
Did you guys hear that, veterans? If you're watching, if you know a veteran, have them connect with them, because you're right. You guys know things that we wouldn't necessarily normally think of because we're not trained in that way.
Yeah, we got to flip the script, and I think it all starts with the mindset. People, it's so hard to, again, and I know I'm speaking from privilege here, but you're thinking me versus him, and you have to stop thinking that way. You have to stop thinking, me versus him and me versus his friends and me versus his powerful. It's not about that. It's not about that at all. I know that, but I know that's very easy to get into, and how intimidating that can be. Once you start thinking that way, though, it's hard to not think that way. And if you and I got into a fist fight inside that room, I would maybe I wouldn't win. I think you
definitely win. Are you kidding?
I don't know, Lisa. You look tough as woodpecker lips. I think you'd. I think you'd get your. But you can't think that way, because your job, is to survive. Is how you win. For him to win, he has to, kill you. He has to hurt you. He has to control your life. Believe it or not, it's much harder for him to win. You start stacking the deck in your favor with some of these techniques, tactics, some training, security equipment. You develop a little army. That's what we try to be in your corner. So now he's got his people. Well, now you have people. You've got us. You've got people like you. You start forming your little army, That's right. And your tools, and you get out of this mindset that it's a you versus him fight, and you don't think that way one-on-one, so you start stacking the deck in your favor to you don't have to win. You just have to not lose.
Nick, I wrote that down. I'm sorry. I know I keep interrupting you, but so listen, when you said you win by surviving, I could have jumped out my seat, because I feel like there's so many survivors that kind of struggle. He won, or they won because they beat me. Let me tell you something. You living and getting out of that situation, you win. No matter if you leave with nothing. Yeah, just the clothes on your back, I guarantee you win. And so I love that you said that, because it's the truth. It's true. You may not think you won because finances are messed up, your credit's bad or whatever. Guess what? You have your life, and that is not replaceable.
Oh yeah, you crawl into a ball and you're crying over your chocolate ice cream. You're still winning.
Still winning. You are still alive.
Candace is asking what happens if the abuser is ex-military. There's a lot of ex-military or active military and police. Oh, and it's harder. I mean, that's the simplest answer. It's a lot harder to counter them. It is, depending on what they did. But it's much harder to counter them.
I'm sorry. If you need to say something private, you can feel free to inbox Stand Up Survivor, and we'll get to the comments.
Yeah. And anybody that's got any safety planning questions, I'll be happy to inbox, do myself, a private video with you, or but yeah.
Wait, hold on. He said he'd be happy to do a video or a safety plan with you. I just want to make sure we didn't rush that part. You guys heard Nick. He's available. FYO Foundation is available. Someone just said something. Okay, how to make a safety plan that they didn't see coming for military and police if they are in a relationship with them.
So I'll tie it into the question you asked. You know, how do you stay safe? I mean, first you just start by simply doing whatever you can around the home. You make sure, you know, things are locked. You'd be surprised how, you know, some of these guys, they tamper with things so that you can't lock it. If you know that there's you know, you live in a house and there's, you know, I know that the back door, you know, whenever we forget the key, just go into the back door. That lock isn't that great. You just pop the door and you sneak in, you know, so you got to start doing little things. You'd be surprised how creative you can get, you know, without any money to harden your house a little bit. You can, if you got a drill or if you have a friend who has a drill, you borrow it, you take the screws out of the door jamb and the door lock, because they're real tiny little screws. You take them out, you replace them with longer ones. That's simple.
I saw you did a video on that too. They can also go to your page. You did a video.
Yeah, I did a video on that. You know, it's pretty simple to do. If you don't know how to do it, you're not comfortable doing it, you can ask someone. Most people would know how to do it. Just 4 screws, you know, you replace them with longer ones.
Why does that make it safer, Nick?
It makes it harder for the door to get popped open.
Ding, ding, ding. Okay, got it. Yeah. That was good.
You get wooden blocks, you know, 2x4s and a saw, and you know, to put on top of the windows to make sure the windows can't open. You can order, if we can't get to you, there's real do-it-yourself cheap options on Amazon for $10, $20, vibration alarms to put on the windows and doors. The door security bars that we use are great. They really keep the door shut. I mean, there's inexpensive things that you can do to start hardening the house. Military, not military, cop, not cop. You know, a protected door with an alarm is still a protected door with an alarm. Okay. And, you know, he's getting in, and then you got to have a plan to get out, to escape, to barricade if that's what it takes. You got to have something to keep yourself safe. You know, some kind of self-protection item that you're comfortable using.
Okay, so what's a self-protection item? What's an example of a self-protection item?
A gun, pepper spray. You can't talk about self-protection in this without talking about guns in some way, shape, or form. Unfortunately,
yes.
Is, you know, my advice to everybody, if you're going to go that route, you know, certainly that's your right. You have the right to protect yourself. You know,
right.
You have a duty to protect yourself. And if you are comfortable with it, if you know that you can train on it and you're able to point it at a living, breathing human being who you once shared a bed with and pull the trigger, that's the big mental hurdle.
Yeah. If
you don't think that you can do that, if you think that you'll hesitate and you just don't have it to do it, then I don't recommend getting a gun. Because then it can be used against you.
Yeah, that's really good advice. So we had a question that says, what about if you have a sliding patio as your back door?
Well, you can use a broom. You can use a broomstick. We have stronger options that we use, but, you know, again, in the meantime, you take a broom, you take off the broom, you take a saw, you cut it to size, and you can just simply use a broomstick. You can use a 2x4, slide it in there. You know, you might have to cut it a little bit. If you're not comfortable doing that, you ask someone to do that for you. You know, there's things that there's things that you can do to harden the house. But it's tough if you don't know. I mean, but you go online and there's a lot of resources to harden the home to the best of your ability. And, you know, what's really unfortunate, and I'm even seeing it in some of the comments here, is, you know, it is tough, and it's just unfortunate that that, you know, these women have to deal with this, because you shouldn't have to do all this. You know, you shouldn't have to cut a broomstick. You shouldn't have to cut a 2x4 and put it, you know, on top of your windows and harden your house and stick chairs under doorknobs and take out screws of your door jamb. You know, you shouldn't have to do it. You know, the only piece of advice I can give is I do it. I don't have a direct threat against me, and I've done all these things. I have an alarm system and a safety plan. My wife and we discussed what are we going to do. You know, we got the kids. We got to factor that in. Most of these women have kids. They can't just bail out the back window and run. They wouldn't do that. I know they wouldn't do that. You know, we could talk about that all day. Like, well, you know, you can run out and, you know, Mila talked about use Pinterest. Yeah, it's actually, believe it or not, is actually pretty good. There are some like really inexpensive ways to harden your house on Pinterest, believe it or not. Good suggestion there, Mila. But you know, there's a lot of things that you can do to harden that house. And obviously, you know this more than I do. It really is psychological. Because it's going
to our inbox to get the messages that we get privately. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's tough because it's more so than just doing all this stuff. It's you just having this mindset of like, okay, this is going to be a fight. You know, doing this every night, arming a system, checking locks, putting this 2x4 here or this camera there. I mean, this is a pain. I shouldn't have to do this. Fortunately, after a little bit, it gets a little bit easier to do once it becomes a habit. My wife and I do it every night. We do it little, you know, checks around the house. And, you know, we're at the point where we're setting our alarm just during the day if we're home long enough, and we turn it off if we're going to take the dog out or go outside. And we just kind of have it always on.
I like that you said that, because you got, like you said, you're not in imminent danger of anything, but you still do these things to protect yourself and your family. We had a question that said, does the stand your ground laws help DV victims? I don't know if you know that answer, but.
Yeah, I know what those are. I mean, people like to talk about, you know, all these laws, you know, different states have different laws, stand your ground, castle doctrine, duty to retreat. You know, here's the thing. You've got the right, you have the inherent right to self-defense no matter what. If somebody is threatening your life and, you know, if you can escape, if you can move to you know, to a safer area, then, you know, you should do it. But if you feel like you're in danger, you know, your life is in danger, then you've got the right to protect yourself. You know, but you know, when it comes to, because I know a lot of your audience isn't New Jersey. New Jersey is a little bit different with the gun laws. But you know, I always talk about, when I talk about guns, you know, I do it from a completely tactical, functional standpoint and not a political one. So,
and I think that's a really good point that you made just now about it's tactical. The goal is to save lives. You know, it's not the politics of it, but it's like, hey, I'm here to save your life. We got some comments. I hate that, you know, and I agree with you. Just these comments are kind of really heartbreaking. Just listening to a lot of. Somebody asked a question. Okay, so this was another one. Someone shares that so their abuser decided to move close to them. So I know that you're talking about some of the things that you would put into place if this was a situation that they were dealing with.
So prior to any attack, prior to any kind of attack, you know, if you think about it, and this is kind of an unsettling thought, but let's say, you know, a little bit unsettling. If you were going to come to New Jersey, Lisa, and attack me, you know, you're going to get me with whatever. We'll keep it funny, and we'll say you're going to shoot me with a Nerf gun.
Got it. I got it. I'm ready.
You tell me, how would you get close enough to me to get me with a Nerf gun? What would you do?
If you're home, I'd probably sit outside your house and wait.
How do you know I'm home?
Probably the car outside, the windows open, maybe people in and out.
All right.
That's my assumption, or I would go to your job.
Okay, so you'd have to watch me and follow me.
Absolutely. I'd have to watch and kind of get your schedule down.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm getting at is, you know, prior to any type of an attack, even if they know where you live, you know, in these cases, they know where you live and all that.
Where you work, where the
but,
kids
you know,
go to school.
Yeah. But even then, there's always some kind of surveillance. There's always some type of surveillance. So your job is to snuff that out. And it's not as hard as people might think. I mean, all you're really doing is paying attention to your surroundings. It's all it really is. That's why I like the cameras. I mean, it's looking out your window and scanning your environment. It's when you pull in, you're backing into, if you have a driveway, you back in, or if you're just parking on the street, if you can, you try to leave yourself a little escape route out. And what I do, and I do these things. I practice what I preach. Do I do it 100% of the time? No. I mean, I'm not going to lie. So if I'm in a pinch, I'm in a rush, sometimes I'll just, go in forward with the car, just hop out, and but what I try to do is before I get out, I leave my ability, an ability to drive away. I leave it and drive. I've got the space to do it. I look, I make a deliberate attempt at looking at my environment. No one's looking at me. Put the vehicle in park, turn the car off, and go inside or wherever it is that I'm going.
That's interesting.
So that's interesting. I'm trying to find, I'm just looking to see if there's anybody paying attention to me. And it's not as mentally taxing as it might sound. Like, oh, how do you live that way? Aren't you paranoid? No, I'm really not. I'm not walking around all day like that.
I was just going to say that because someone said that in the comments. He said people are going to say that you're paranoid, or if I'm doing all of this, I'm paranoid. And before you answer, because I know that you have a better answer than I do probably. But to me, it's awareness. It's being, once you come out of a relationship where you've been stalked, where you've been followed, where they show up where you are, you have to continue to be aware because you're never. Anyway, the point is you always have to continue to be aware for yourself. So go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. And so here's the thing, Lisa, and we talk about this with our clients a lot, and a lot of them have said it really has helped them. But there's something, again, from the military we call Cooper's color codes.
Okay.
So the first one is condition white. Condition white is you with a glass of wine hanging out at your house. Maybe you got a friend over, you're relaxed. Or you pop a melatonin, you're about to go to sleep, that's condition white. You are just completely relaxed. You're vaguely aware of your surroundings, but it's, it's kind of what we really should be when we're home.
Okay. Got it. White.
Then all of a sudden, maybe you hear a voice outside that's not moving. Maybe they're a little bit agitated, oh, what's that? And you elevate it to what we call condition yellow.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're now aware of something that could, it's got a time. You're just kind of paying attention to it. Mm-hmm. Then, so that's condition yellow. Your alert status has gone up just a bit. You're not panicky. Your heart rate, maybe it's gone up slightly, but nothing to be, And then all of a sudden, that person, you hear them walking over to your house and then pounding on the door, yelling. So now I'm in what's called condition amber. Heart rate's going up a little bit, like, oh, what's this? So I got to start thinking now, Then he kicks the door in. Mm-hmm. Now you're in what's called condition red. Heart rate is really through the roof. You've got this one definite problem that you need to. Here's my dog. Everybody can see my dog. Say hi, Nikki. She just likes to cuddle. She's mad at me because I stopped petting her for 2 seconds. So condition red, you get tunnel vision. You probably heard that term. Not all tunnel vision is bad. If somebody's charging at me, I don't need to be paying attention to my surroundings at that point. I've got one problem. And then you got condition black, which is you just freeze. Your heart rate is through the roof. So what a lot of these women are experiencing, unfortunately, is that they're constantly living in what I call condition red. They're always in red. Yeah. They're home. They're in red. They're supposed to be watching a movie. They're in red. They're trying to enjoy, God forbid, try to date again. They're still in red. Everything. They're guarded. Their heart rate is up. They're hyper vigilant. You can't live that way.
But Nick, I have to say, I don't know if I've been away from my abuser for 10 years. I'd like to say no, maybe 9. Anyway, I can't say that I get to yellow. I mean, whites. I do get there, but I have to tell you, once you've experienced trauma to a certain level, you really do live in that. Like you just said, I think, what was that, the amber? You kind of live there a lot of times, especially when you're dealing with PTSD, like someone said in the comments.
Oh yeah,
you're always in that heightened state, and it's your body's tense, you're stressed, your mind is always racing. Yeah, and it's not the way we're designed to live, so it really does take a toll on us.
No, so you need to, being aware of those codes is a good first step. Because you just like you said, you cannot stay in red or even amber for too long. You simply can't. And what's going to happen is, I said it earlier, you're going to, your guard's going to drop because you're going to be so burnt out. You're just going to be like.
That's a good point.
I've seen a lot of them. It's like, well, if if he kills me, he kills me. He's probably going to kill me. So, whatever.
And they're
And
probably just exhausted at that point. They're probably exhausted.
yeah. And that's their way of getting that sense of control back. And it's so critical to find that way into white for a healthy percentage. And some people are like, you should never be in condition white. You should always be alert. You can't live that. That's impossible.
Yeah.
So, and knowing the benefit of being able to get to white and or even yellow, not just because it's good for your mental health, but also knowing that that's going to help you stay alert.
Yeah.
And stay safe, knowing that you can kick back with a glass of wine one day and actually relax, knowing that is actually going to help you stay safe is another benefit of trying to help yourself psychologically, seek counseling and things like that, if that's what it takes. And it's one of the and that's one of the things we try to accomplish with all the security items and the safety planning, empowerment, sense of control back, and the physical, that actual peace of mind that the stuff itself provides. We're hoping to get that down a little bit so that you can, so that's one goal.
So the goal is with those tools to kind of bring the level down from that amber, that red, to bring it down a little bit. So my first question, I guess, to survivors that are listening that will watch the replay, do you have a safety plan in place? As an advocate, I don't want you to think because you're not in the situation or you've been out for a while that you don't necessarily have to have a safety plan in place. It's still important to have one, even though it may not be as strict as it was before. You still want to, because I just read something that this person has been away from their abuser, I don't know, 3 years or something like that. And then they just reached out to them. So you always need to be aware and have a safety plan in place.
Yeah, no, it's crucial. I mean, you should do that no matter what, with people, and you should always have some kind of safety plan. And, some folks say, well, that could be triggering and yeah. It's not pleasant to think about.
So I know someone just said here that they're in a dangerous situation currently. And so our what we would say together is we want you to live. So what does that mean? Does that mean if you're in a 911 situation, you call 911 or wherever you're tuning in from, because we have UK and everybody from everywhere.
Right.
Whatever your emergency number is, that's what you call. The goal is to live. Like we just said, surviving. That's how you have to survive.
Yeah. You've got one goal only. It's not to show them up. It's not to win an argument. It's not to, your job is to survive for you, survive for your children. So if you are stuck at home with an abuser, and is it hard if we now kind of pivot to that?
Absolutely.
So if you're stuck at home with an abuser, especially now, and this is really any time, not just now, but especially now with everything going on, you make that safety plan. There's apps on your phone that you can disguise, that you can, send signals out where people will call the police for you, or the emergency contacts are contacted. You make that go bag, you try to have an escape plan, and you cover your tracks. Like, look, if something happens, can I go to your house? Like, well, what about the coronavirus? Like, look, I'll sleep in the basement for 2 weeks. All right. And, a lot of people just kind of have the whole, like, not my problem, so hopefully you can find somewhere or somebody to go to escape, to have that escape plan. And all right, well, what does that mean? What does that look like? He's got the finances. He's got that. He's got this. I can't just make a go bag. How do I make a go? What, you want me to have a duffel bag full of stuff? It kind of sticks out a little bit. So especially if your abuser is a cop, military, somebody savvy enough, you get a number for the local, DV agency, try to memorize it. So, some of the things I tell them is, you can get a box of something that's empty, something that's disguised as something, and start putting things in that. You got kids' toys. Yeah, you got, if you're packing clothes, you do like a super tight roll. You can make it really small and fit it almost anywhere. You can fit, believe it or not, you can fit multiple shirts and shoes, if you squeeze it and roll it, and you'll be ironing until you pretty much hate life. But, it'll fit in pretty small places. You can get pretty creative.
Go ahead. Sorry.
You can get pretty creative with hiding what you're doing. I've got some, we've been trying some of this stuff. I've been working, I took a Clorox bottle and I emptied it, washed it out. I took the tape off. I cut a hole in it. I put some items in it, put the tape over. It looks like a Clorox bottle,
That's interesting. Sounds like military style. Very slick, very smooth, smart.
Yeah, little things like that. I mean, like there's a little Coke can. I don't know if you could see it.
Yeah, now we can. Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't have to be exactly something like that, but just start giving you ideas.
Yeah, I know some survivors who.
There's a lint roller.
Wow. Yeah.
You want to start getting a little creative about, all right, how can I sneak things out? Or maybe I have a little a drop off point. Maybe I don't leave it at the house. Maybe there's some other place I can leave it.
Mm-hmm. One of the survivors that we talked to, she would slowly take off her clothes to her friend's house, and before she had all the things that she needed on, or even
little by little
underneath the tire where your tire is, you can put stuff under there. I mean, you do got to get creative. And let me just tell you something. There may be a point where you can leave with nothing. Yes, the 5-bedroom house. Yes, the apartment. Yes, the clothes, the piano. That's yours. I get it. But if it means your life, it means your life. You literally run out the house with nothing if you have to get the help that you need.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this next thing I want to talk about, it's a little bit controversial because some people, but I want to talk about de-escalation and avoidance. When you're living with an abuser, you're in that situation where you are in fear for your life, and you want to scream back and yell and don't. If you truly believe this person, will kill you or harm you, it's again another military tactic. It's called apparent compliance.
Yep.
You really get him thinking that you're complying.
Yeah. And survivors are really good at that. We're really good at complying because we know what's going to happen next. So even when we start feeling great about ourselves, we feel like we can talk back, like you said, de-escalation. Use another word. I was writing it down. De-escalation. What was the other word?
De-escalation, avoidance.
And avoidance. Yeah. Okay.
They come back into your life and they somehow, get you in a corner. I'm going to kill you. You did this to me. They start calling you names and they're angry and say, you know what? And again, this was something I learned a long time ago in the military. We're going to watch what I say here. With if you're ever being, asking questions that you're not supposed to give the answers to, you want to be able to counter what they're doing by giving the illusion that you're complying, but you're really not. Look, you're absolutely right. And I'm working on things like that by going to therapy, and hopefully I can improve and be a better person. And I'm sorry for the things that I've caused you. However, right now I'm very exhausted. I'm very tired, and I don't want to be hurtful, and I don't want to upset you. And maybe if I just go home tonight alone and I get some rest, maybe I could be a better person. Start working on myself tomorrow, and
de-escalating it. Yeah.
I'm not thinking right now. Maybe if I go into that store over there and just get some water, I think it might. I might be able to help you out, and we can discuss some of this. Whatever you got to do to talk your way out of it.
And while we're saying that, Nick, I'm going to just kind of divert here. I think that, especially with the COVID-19, because everyone is still on quarantine, if you are in a desperate situation, the only place that you're able to go is to the grocery store. Use that opportunity to get the help you need, the gas station, wherever it is. And I know everyone watches these videos. I get that. But the point of the matter is you have to save your life, because in situations like that, you just have to save your life. So if you need to speak to the teller, if you need to tell, the lady at Publix or grocery store, do what you need to do to get your life, to save your life. So sorry.
Yeah. No, it's true. So, I was walking with my daughter one day. I was I had her, she was a baby, and this car came out of nowhere and they started honking the horn at me. And I quickly turned and looked at them. Like I was, exiting a grocery store. So I walk around and she looks at me and she starts cursing me out, real like trashy lady and her husband. And, I wanted to, say something back.
Yeah.
just instinctively. And I think it is comparable. Like, you want to defend, you want to, hey, who are you to do this? Like, no, I'm a fighter, I'm a warrior. You don't get to do this to me. And a lot of women do struggle with that. Like, no, you don't get to do this to me. I'm gonna fight back with words. I'm gonna show you what's up. You're not talking to these individuals. You're not gonna reason with them. You're gonna win an argument. There is no winning an argument.
No, especially when you're in confined space with them. If you're home with them,
yeah.
you just don't even argue. Just don't.
You don't win by arguing. You win by surviving.
You win by surviving.
That's it. That is it. That is how you win. That's all you need to win. Everything else is a bonus.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Nick, someone said, it's hard to do when you have kids and nowhere to go. I agree with you, and nowhere to go. Shelters are an option. There are shelters that are still taking people, the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and your emergency numbers. I'm also going to say, what if people don't believe you? Listen, you could tell your story until I understand people won't believe you, but it's still your truth, and stand in your truth and don't waver from it. Because just because people don't believe you doesn't make it any less true than it is, just because they don't believe you.
I mean, the whole believing thing, it's, oh, she's lying. Well, yeah, I'm sure she likes going to a shelter and fleeing with her kids and
because she's
packing her bag. I mean, that's a fun thing to do for people, when I go to a house and, or, I'm helping out a client, and they're really learning, the security stuff, and that you could see it in their eyes, and they're scared, and they're talking to me about their situation. Women who lie they're not doing this type of stuff.
Survival.
Yeah. Survival. I mean, what sense does that make? What good is that? Why would they go through all that? It just wouldn't make sense.
I'll also add, if you're in the home with an abuser, and so stay out of places like the kitchen where there are knives, things like that you can use. I mean, I'm sure you probably can give them like a ton more, or stay out of like the bathroom where there's closed, there's no escape route. Any more, Nick, you have?
Well, I see a lot of the comments too about they're gonna counter you. They're not gonna sit there in court and say yeah, I hit her. They're gonna. She hit me, or she's lying. Again, when it comes to, this is a Nick opinion, individual opinion. Easier said than done, but you do what you have to do to stay safe. You don't have to beat them in court. You didn't lose. If the judge drops the charges and drops the restraining order, I can't even imagine the moral defeat and the how frustrating, how unbelievable. I can't even picture it. I can't. How horrible that must. He made me look bad. People don't believe me, but things are a little bit different. In courts, how to prove things and all that, and we got to change the system, and what are you going to do?
And we do. The system is horrible for survivors, and it does need to change. And it hasn't today, or right now, or right in the middle of your situation, but you're alive, and we need you to stay that way.
Yeah, and
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, it's coming from a place of privilege because I don't have to deal with it. But your situation doesn't change. You're still right. That hasn't changed. Right. You're still.
And it still happened. Right.
It still happened. He's still a threat that you still you still unfortunately have to deal with. Mm-hmm. If he comes at you again, restraining order, no restraining order, charges dropped, charges not dropped, there's still a history now. There's still a history. We could talk all day about official, well, you were convicted of, you've got this restraining order. Look, if a restraining order is dropped where you didn't really want it dropped, or even if because of the circumstances you had to drop it, when I say that is, okay, so he's got this job, X job, whatever, makes decent money. Mm-hmm. If I pursue this restraining order, the final restraining order, if I pursue the charges, he loses his job.
Oh, Nick, I hear that all the time.
He loses his job. I don't get money, because you could, it's easier to get courts to agree, especially if you're a mom with kids, to get alimony, child support, things like that. So I lose out, and What happens if, um, he loses his job now? So all of a sudden he's got legal issues. His identity has now been compromised, meaning who he is as a person. A lot of guys too, who they are, who they identify themselves as, what their work.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's lost that. Maybe you throw in alcohol in the mix. Maybe, you start throwing things in, things start going south for him. Do you think you're more safe from him at that point or less safe? All right. But hey, you got this little piece of paper that says you can't hurt me.
Yeah.
Are you more safe or less safe?
Good point. Yeah. Good point.
And is your life better or is it not better?
So let me ask you a question. If someone's saying, well, that's the reason. First of all, if he loses his job, I won't get any child support or help with the kids, number one. But number two, he's going to be even madder at me if I do go through with the restraining order, because now he's going to lose his job and everyone's going to know. So I'm not going to move forward with it because I'm afraid of that.
Every situation is unique. I tell everybody, I go, ignore what everyone is telling you to do. What's best for you? What is best for you? What's going to keep you safe? What's going to help you? If finances are a big concern, you've got one loyalty. One, you and your children. Or just you if you don't have children. That is it. You don't owe the courts anything. You don't owe me anything. They don't owe you anything. You don't owe your parents anything. You don't owe friends, so that people will believe you and not believe you. If you drop the charges, you owe no one anything. You don't owe anyone anything. Sorry, I almost slipped there.
You caught it though. You caught it.
Yeah. You owe yourself safety, happiness, and that is it. If you feel the restraining order, pursuing the charges is the way to go for your situation, then you do it. If you feel it's going to anger him, he's going to lose his job, have nothing to lose, you're going to lose money and not live right, then you pull chalks and say, okay, I'm dropping everything. Well, then people won't believe me. Who cares whether, I'm just going to go ahead and say this, but the system isn't protecting you anyway.
Yeah, he said it, y'all.
I mean, the system isn't protecting you regardless.
I mean, someone just said that, a piece of paper. What are you going to stand there with a piece of paper? So I do. Yeah. I mean, I definitely understand that sentiment. Nick, somebody asked about, okay, 2 questions. Concern for security cameras. If they want to have security cameras, is there a cost-efficient way for them to get security cameras, and where should they really be positioned for protection?
So you got the internal ones from, you can put inside the house that are relatively cheap, hooks up to your internet and whatnot. You can also take those though and face them outboard to a window so that you can see outside. Okay. But there's no way to, unless you're looking at it live, you won't know what it's facing.
What about the Ring? What about the Ring doorbell?
The Ring, in my opinion, is the best option. The ones we use are much cheaper because we just have to give so many out. We just can't afford. We're trying to get in touch with Ring, but to help to get some kind of program with them. We have the doorbell cameras that do work outside. Ring is your best bet. You can get like an older, cheaper used model for less than $100 now, and they do work pretty well. You can even get someone to install it, connect it to the wires, But cameras, it's technology. They don't work all that much. Or they do work, but they're not 100%. So again, it goes back to that. Some people just have too much reliance on these kinds of things.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So too much reliance on material things, the cameras, this and that. So you're saying that along with the safety plan, better equipped. Yes. Okay.
Yep.
So the next
multi-layered.
Multi-layered. Okay. Someone asked about the door hole, not the door not having a peephole. And I actually lived in a house like that one time, and it was so nerve-wracking because you can't see who's out there yet. Do you have any thoughts on that or suggestions on how they can be, besides peeking out the window, which is an obvious one?
Well, the window's a good option. That's one thing we like the cameras. Once I put the camera up, it's pretty easy. It's putting like the front part, try to as close to the Wi-Fi as I can. We tell them, like, I don't want you ever answering the door again, ever. I want you to look at your phone first and answer it that way. Windows are another option. I mean, you could just, if you don't want people to know you're home, just don't answer it.
Right.
Have a plan in case, someone busts down the door and what you're going to do. I try to get eyes on, go to the window, whatnot. If it comes to it, yell. Who is it?
Yeah. Yeah, that works.
You know,
and if they decide not to answer, you can't open. Someone said in the comments, unless they know someone's coming over, they don't open the door. And family and friends know that. So they would always call before they come over, which makes sense to me, especially, random knocks. Yeah.
Yeah. No one just pounds on your door anymore. And, Michelle here is talking about Zisa, our vice president. One of the things that we tell, especially on an iPhone, but every phone now has an option where a voice activated option. I think the Droids now have like Google Voice, but you can program your phone even on a lock screen. I can do it where, and I'll show you.
Okay.
Hey Siri. That was a lock screen. Call 9.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So what I do
is that an iPhone you have? Because I'm Android.
That's an iPhone. But if you have Android, you got Google Voice. You can.
Okay.
You want to program it where it responds to your voice, even when the phone is locked.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So did you guys hear that? Take note. Program your phone so that even if it's locked, you can call 911 emergency services. She says, Lisa taught me to use Siri to call 911. She went on a call with her. So she's worked with you guys before. Awesome. You guys. Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. And then now you don't want to, you want to do that, but you got to practice it. You can't do anything once, or you can't just talk about something. You got to practice this stuff. Well, how do I practice? You can put your phone on airplane mode and just simply yell, hey Siri, will come up. It just came up.
Hey Google.
Yeah, it'll come up, but it won't actually dial out because you're on airplane mode. So then you can practice actually yelling it out, because how many times, you know what I mean? You don't want to do anything under stress for the first time.
That's so true. That's wisdom.
Yeah.
That's good. Brandy, sorry, go.
No, you want you want to, if it does happen, God forbid, having a vague sense of it being familiar. Like, okay, I remember how to do this. Hey, you have to physically do it. It's not enough this stuff isn't academic. You're not learning like algebra or something like that. Like, you have to physically rehearse something for you to really understand it and to be able to do it under stress. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah, she said Android has a feature that if you tap the power button 3 times, it records audio and sends it to your contacts. That's they didn't know. That's cool.
Yeah.
And sends location. Okay, that's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Twill Marie here says, you click the side button 5 times.
911. Okay.
Yeah, awesome. These are all. Yeah, I mean, there's apps.
I like how you said practice. And I think that comes with a safety plan. So whether you're safety planning by yourself or with your children, hey, this is what happens. If this happens, we do this. We go to this store. We run it. We do this. We jump in the car. And I know you don't want to do it, but trust me, if you have to do it for that one time, and you haven't prepared for it, it's chaos. And so what Nick said is very, very true.
Yeah, you have to practice. We do it with our clients, and sometimes, we include the kids. Kids usually get a kick out of it. Kids are more resilient than you think. What we do is we give them, with the smart pepper spray that I talked about earlier, you shoot it, sends out that signal. We have fake pepper spray, training pepper spray. It's somewhat similar to it. It was the closest one that we can get to it. And we practice with the training pepper spray. It's just water, and I'll role play as a bad guy. We'll have like the alarm that we just put in actually go off. The siren's going off, and we don't just do this to women. I mean, they're all, they're not in a great mental state. Like, the attack just happened. And, so we always make sure that we ease into that. And we tell them, this is not going to be comfortable for you. It's just not. This isn't comfortable for anybody, let alone somebody just going through this. So we do tell them, though, what's waiting for you on the other side is an amazing feeling of empowerment and preparedness if you can get to it. We're going to go at your pace, but once you get there, you're going to feel amazing. And hopefully that's today. And if it's not today, we'll come back, or you'll come to our training. So we'll go over it. We'll and we crawl, walk, run.
Yeah.
They'll practice getting the pepper spray out, pointing it at me, and actually shooting me with the fake pepper spray. And then jogging out of the kitchen. Like that's okay. That's the crawl, you know. And then we start building on it. They go up the stairs. They're doing different things, and
so it's very hands-on training, protecting
yeah.
them, teaching them how to be safe. So Nick, I know we talked a little bit about keeping themselves safe if they're face to face with their aggressor, you know, things like that. Do you have anything that you can kind of tell them, you know, this way that they could be doing to protect themselves?
From a close standpoint, where they're there isn't much room for you to go unless you're going to train for it. There isn't much. The biggest hurdle is going to be your own mental capacity, because we all have a tendency to, like, flinch, cower. If you hit under that kind of stress, you kind of hit like, you're just hesitant, rigid. If I had to sum up our self-protection classes in 2 words, it was just be difficult. Little Tasmanian devil. Be difficult. You don't. Yeah, I mean, if I had to just, here, Nick, here's 2 words to sum up everything. Okay, cool. Be difficult. If you forget everything else, just be this little scrappy. You're not turtling on the ground, covering your face and eyes. You're super aggressive, moving like a little mini hurricane.
Wow.
Fighting back, using your whole body to hit, move. Don't overthink things. Don't overanalyze. Move, hit. Get out of there. And we'll practice those things. I'll wear like the protective gear. And again, it can be triggering, which is why we move slow.
I'm glad you recognize that, because I think a lot of people who do that training don't recognize it when you're working with survivors, that it's triggering.
Yeah, you got to really. That's why another reason why, we do the classes for survivors only. And it's tough to get them there. So we've actually done it before, where we've actually recreated an attack on what happened.
Wow.
We actually did, like, almost like, hey, how did he get in? What happened? And this time, and we prepared for it, we practiced and we trained, except in this case, she won. Now she's got the alarms and the security stuff. So we did the exact, not that would happen again exactly that way, but it was incredibly empowering for her to kick me as I'm trying to come up the stairs. And this is what happened. I had the protective equipment on, and spray me with the fake pepper spray. She got into her room. She barricaded. She's using the airplane mode, going, call 911, and I'm trying to get in. And we did it a few times where she was able to fight me off and get out of there, using the things that we do.
That hands-on is amazing, Nick, that you guys do that. I want, if you can please, I think we can go back later on and add that, but for you to be able to go where people can donate to your organization so you can continue to do what you're doing. I know that you're based in New Jersey, but you have helped women a lot of different places. So
not often, but because we try to keep it in New Jersey. My dream is that,
you want to take outside of the States.
Yeah.
We've done.
Yeah, I want to be everywhere, but I helped somebody in California, actually a couple of clients in California, and a couple other states, Ohio. I remember there was this one client, and I knew a couple of Marines that actually went to the house and did a house call in Ohio.
Wow. That's awesome.
So, yeah, and we're trying to expand our services too. It's slow going, and it's gonna take a little bit to bounce back from all this coronavirus thing. We're gonna eventually do it. And what I would like to do is, so the cameras that we give, for example, you can give your code to access those cameras to anyone if you wanted. You can share the QR code. So I would love to set something up where, and I've done this. I actually did this with a client. She was scared. Guy, real violent scumbag, coming around the house and trying to break in and whatnot, and violent. So she shared the QR. She's like, Nick, I can't sleep. I'm stressed. I can't sleep. I'm just afraid he's gonna. This was after we did the call, and I put the cameras in and whatnot, because the cameras can also kind of work against you psychologically, because you're always trying to look at them. We try to tell them, like, look, you can't do that either. It's empowering, but at a certain point, it becomes like, look, it's not surveillance. You're not.
Yeah, right. It's not surveillance. It's
Yeah. So she shared the QR code with me. I asked her if she's okay doing it. And I said, I'm like, why don't you take a nap? And for a couple of hours, I'll sit here. I wasn't doing anything that night. It was, later in the night. And I told my wife about it. And I will watch the cameras for you. I said, go to sleep. Take a nap. And she slept for like 3 hours. Eventually, I had to call her about, look, I can't watch the cameras anymore. She's like, oh my God, that was amazing. She's like, knowing that you were there watching.
Forever your Overwatch. You were like literally there watching.
Exactly. And, that was just one client, one time for like a 3-hour little event. I would love to expand on that idea and get vetted volunteers. It's outside the home. And, just imagine that you're a survivor who's being targeted by a violent person. Now imagine you've got a volunteer looking out of a camera for you.
Yeah.
I
mean, especially with the ladies just talking about they can't sleep. You don't get sleep because you're so anxious. Your anxiety's high. You're so fear. You're in that amber color often. You're not sleeping. So I think that's really cool. So I was going to ask you, why did you name it Forever Your Overwatch? Where did that name come from?
So it's Overwatch is a military term. It's the simplest way to explain it is you go on ahead while I cover you. I'm watching over you.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, it just means that this is still your show.
Right.
You're in control. You're the boss. I tell them all the time. That's what we call you clients. Like we're working for you. I don't want to just put this stuff in and say, here, have fun. You're now running it. You're in charge. You're in control. We're big on that. I want to include you on the safety planning.
Giving them back the control that they haven't had.
Yeah. I don't want to just protect you. I want you to learn how to protect yourself. I've seen there's very few organizations that do some of the security stuff. There, surprisingly not many, but they want to do the security for them, which is good. And we do that too as well. But we also want to get you, pretty much one of us. I want to train you. I want to train you. I want to be able to get you to the point where you can then even come volunteer with us.
Right. Yeah, I just saw someone say that in the comments too. Nick, I got to tell you, I'm not going to keep you much longer, but I do have to tell you that I think what you're doing is amazing. I love your passion for it. And I love that you actually said at the beginning, he's like, listen, I'm coming from a place of entitlement. I had no idea. I used to say, well, just call the cops. And I love that you turned that around and said, hey, I get it. And you do get it now. I
get it now. Yeah.
You carry that. You carry survivors in your heart. I can tell.
I wish I could just take what I know, because I'm not anything special. I mean, I'm a bit reckless, very disorganized, not all that smart. I'm a guy. I'm not like one. I definitely don't. I don't classify myself as woke. I don't even really know what that means. People use, I can be, I don't mean to be disrespectful towards anybody. It's just not my thing, I guess. I'm just your average guy, and I got opened up to it, and I see this, and it blew me away that how prevalent this was, how dangerous this is, how real this is. I love my country. I love, living here, and then it just bothered me that this is happening like this here.
It's so prevalent, and you get the firsthand view of what's going on and the fear that the women are experiencing.
Yeah.
So we want
I couldn't believe it what I was seeing, and I'm hoping through our work, because we do some advocacy stuff too, and I'm hoping we can get more folks to be a little bit more empathetic. And a lot of folks, unless you're in this situation, they don't understand the security aspect of it.
No, they don't.
They don't know what it's like to have an active threat, a physical, human being who's out there who wants to harm you. People they don't understand that mentality. That I can't even imagine living that way. Somebody's out there looking to harm you.
Yeah. or someone or someone's in the room with you looking to harm you, or in the next room with you looking to harm you. You know,
Exactly.
it's still all extremely high. They're saying that you're above average, that you're woke. They're thanking you in the comments. They're saying you get it, that we need more guys to understand. You are woke, Nick. See? So one quick question before I let you go. Someone said, do the cameras record or just?
They can. They can up to a certain point. I'm not a big fan of the cameras we use. I really wish that we can get better ones. The live view is what works the best and the most consistent. You just turn it on. Works pretty good. You could see. You can hit record, or you can take a screenshot. So it works pretty well there, but it's supposed to pick up motion. Doesn't really work all that great with that, you know. Okay. It's also it's a deterrent. You know, somebody's coming up to your house, I see you know, camera.
Yeah, they see you have camera. That's so true too. Oh, yeah.
So even you know, be like, oh, it's not going to stop them. It's not going to stop them. Like, look, yeah, you're right. You know, maybe one day we'll come up with something. Yeah, they don't. A lot of these guys, they're not afraid of jail. They're not. Yeah. They might even be committed to, like, hey, this is the last act I'm going to do on Earth, which is, you know, awful and terrifying.
It's true.
So they're not. They're not afraid. But you know what they're afraid of, Lisa? And this is what, you know, we can leave it with this, and it kind of goes back to how you win. They're afraid of failing. They're not afraid of jail. They're not afraid of any of this, but they're afraid to fail. So if you start stacking the deck in your favor, you start flipping the script just a little bit, you start making them scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe not, you know, physical safety or anything like that, but they're scared. They're worried. What the hell is this?
Yeah.
You know,
finding her voice. Is she protecting herself? Is she, you know, she finding herself?
You know, so, and we want to start doing some other things. I really like the camera idea. I really want to set up an army of people to, especially in like the real bad. I mean, they're all bad, but you know, even if it's just temporarily, to watch outside. Well, that sounded creepy. To watch outside your house while you sleep, or, you know, hey Nick, I'm headed home. I can't be looking at my phone. I'm coming home with the kids, groceries. Could you hop on my camera? Look, make sure no one's hiding out in the bushes. Yeah. You know, make sure it's clear if I get home. Yeah. Like I want to get something like that going, and then you could talk to the camera through the phone. You know, hey, I see you. I'm calling the cops right now. She's been warned. You know, I want to set something like that up. I want to set up little secretive go bags that we can drop off for clients who are still living with their abuser, and in it maybe a drop phone with minutes on it, with security apps already preloaded, the smart pepper spray. Maybe like an Uber gift card in there, or a Visa gift card, or you know, maybe some clothes, or and maybe some cards for like local DV agencies, or a way to communicate with us secretively. I saw a lot of women on here saying like, hey, look, he's got my phone hacked. That's another thing we didn't really talk about, but pretty common. You could do a factory reset that usually works. If not, there are ways to communicate with people where he can't read it. This is something the terrorists do. I hope I'm not giving out any secrets. You can. Oh, this is fun, Lisa. You're gonna like this. I know you want to get going, but
I mean, well, we're good.
That's true. It's not like any of us are going anywhere. So,
we're good.
You can get an email account, right? Say, you know, Lisa at Yahoo. And you give me the password. So we got this password, Lisa at Yahoo. We both sign into it, and we fill out an email, but we don't actually send it. We just save it to a draft. And I can read what you write in an email, in a draft, and that's how we talk to one another. So nothing actually gets transmitted. It can't be seen.
That's interesting.
You know? I mean, we just did, you know, that's just one thing among many tools. I mean, you've got some apps that you can use. Again, so I'm seeing, you know, mine's police officers, a whole new, you know, you got to elevate your game to something, you know, and that's
unfortunately you do. It's true.
You got to get sneaky. That's why I want to do the thing with the phones, your own, like a separate phone.
Yeah.
I've spoken to Zisa a lot about that, my VP, and you know, she's the one that came up with that with the phones. You know, if you're living with your abuser, I think that's a big first step, is getting your own phone that can't be detected by him.
I agree.
Incorporating.
Even a phone. If you share an account, like you both have Verizon, you share the same
Mm-hmm.
account. That's not going to work. It's just not going to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So you
Exactly.
phone. So yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody watching, I mean, if you want to, we can go over things privately, especially if it's safe.
Yep.
If you're not living with your abuser anymore, there's things that we can do. Signal is a great app. Signal. It can't be hacked. It's a text messaging. Signal.
Signal is an app. Okay.
Yep. You can text, you can call. It can't be hacked, whether there's software on the phone or not.
Okay.
So that's a good app. You can contact us through that if you want to contact, or we can direct you to it.
His website is down at the bottom, fyelfoundation.org. They also have the escape button. So if you need to go check out some stuff that they're doing, check them out as well. And you can just hit the escape button and get out of there. And I do agree with you. I hope it goes national, international too, because let me tell you, Nick sits up at night trying to come up with ideas to help survivors. I'm serious. This is what he does. He loves it. He breathes it. And so we need to support him, try to get some funds to them so they can continue to do what they do nationwide. Absolutely agree.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Again, please reach out to us if you need help. The criteria, you've got an active threat against you. There's an intake form that takes about 90 seconds to fill out, and we try not to. I don't ask for income statements. I don't ask for restraining order evidence. I don't. You fill this out because it's easier for us to get to you quicker. We do everything we can to keep it as simple. I'm so against long bureaucratic processes.
Yeah.
People don't fill things out. They don't like filling things out,
They skip that process. You guys, Nick does have for a donation. I wrote it down here. The pepper spray thing that alerts your family. I wrote it down, Nick. What's the name of it?
Oh, the Plegium spray?
Yes. Okay. So yes, for a donation, you guys. Is that right, Nick?
Yeah, typically we ask for a donation of $50.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, what it does is amazing.
Yeah.
So we'll have to talk about that off air. We got to get to on some of those because that's amazing.
Yeah. Somebody real quick, the last thing is Tanya was talking about, making them scared makes them more dangerous. Tanya, we're talking about like they're already at the point where they're as dangerous as they can be. And they're not scared of anything, jail, nothing. They've got nothing to lose. So the last thing that they are scared of is failing, at that last attempt. So,
or losing control of their property, which would be you.
Yeah. So that's what I mean when I say that, if they're afraid of failing, they might back out of the attack. Because okay, this isn't working. She's got this. She's aware of her surroundings. She's got this security, that security. I'm not going to be successful. So I'm afraid of that. So I'm gonna bail out of this. And unfortunately, you got to keep playing this cat and mouse game, and I can, it gets exhausting. The hope is loss of motivation, loss of freedom, or loss of consciousness.
I was going to say, and again, they don't have to know that you're preparing to leave. You're not working on I have to find my voice on your forehead, but you're slowly putting things into place. You're getting that go bag like he was talking about. You're people to know what's going on. You're starting to prepare, sending clothes to family or whatever. They don't have to know what's happening. But let me tell you something, Nick. I'm going to say this too. It's not to you, but to survivors. If you begin to prepare yourself now and they lift this quarantine, be ready to go. Be ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
I'm anything right now. You can't leave right now, but when the quarantine lets up, I'm telling you can prepare yourself to a place where you can find safety. I would encourage you to do so, if not before the quarantine is up.
Yeah. So someone's asking about donating. Michelle, you can go to the website and donate, or you go find us on Facebook, Forever Your Overwatch Foundation. Donate through there. We also have Venmo. You want to do it through there. During this whole quarantine thing, we've kind of expanded. I've been delivering food and supplies to domestic violence shelters and other clients and people like that who need it. It's been pretty exhausting, but I'm happy doing it.
It's worthwhile though. Yeah, and please go like this page, Forever Your Overwatch on Facebook. I tagged it in the comments. Please go like the page. Send you guys support. Please, if you know someone that needs to watch this video, please make sure that they They watch it. And before we go, Nick said something that's like probably one of my favorite lines. He's taught us a lot. But it's the win. You win by surviving, right, Nick? Like
that's right.
You win by
You
surviving.
be difficult, be sneaky. You know, this isn't a one-on-one fight. This is you being as sneaky as you humanly possibly can. You're a spy. You're not a. You know, everybody likes to. You're a warrior. Yeah, you are.
Yeah. Once you win, war all you want. I war all day now, but I'm safe and I'm free. Until then, you're like this. You're stealth. What you need to do.
You're a ninja. Yep, you're a ninja, not a Spartan. You know, you're a spy. That's how you win.
When you're safe, you can come out screaming at the top of your lungs. But until then, you do what you need to do to survive.
Exactly.
And you win by surviving. I was talking to a survivor tonight, and she said he won. He's happy. He's in a relationship. He's moving. I said, let me tell you something. You won. You know why? Because you left and you're free. Mm-hmm. You won, and so it's true. Yeah.
Sounds so anyway, Nick, simplistic, but yeah.
Nick, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. We probably could talk for like 3 hours, but thank you so much. And if we get more questions, we might have to redo this again if you'd grace me with your presence. But you guys please go to Forever Your Overwatch on Facebook, like the page. Please, if you know someone that can donate, even has resources and stuff that they can connect with Nick, please, please, please do that. He's doing amazing things, and let's make sure people see it. So thanks, Nick. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Lisa. Bye, everyone.
Bye, you guys.